Welcome to Summit 26, Refinement. We are so delighted that you are here with us today. Before we jump into our program, we'd like to remind you of some quick guidelines to ensure everyone has a good experience participating through Zoom. This is set up in a webinar format, meaning audio and video will be limited to those speaking today. If you are experiencing any technical difficulties that require assistance, or if you have any questions, you can message a member of our communications team, Lindsay Garcia or Jamie Butler, directly in the chat, and they will respond to you. Though you can't see everyone who is on the call, we have a spectacular crowd here today, and we'd like to give you the chance to get to know one another. Please feel free to use the chat feature to share your name, location, and what inspires you to care for creation. We have a great program for you today, including our very special keynote discussion with Colby May and some exciting ways for you to get involved with EEN in 2026. Before we look forward, we want to take a moment to look back on 2025 and celebrate all that we were able to accomplish together for God's creation over the last year. Wow, folks, I am always so amazed after watching that video at just how much God has accomplished through the ministry of EEN last year and we could not have done it without you partnering with us. Thank you. Now, let's look to 2026 and how we can continue this vital work together. To get us started, I'm thrilled to pass it over to EEN's president, Dr. Reverend Jessica Mormon.
Thank you, Tori, and thank you, everyone. Welcome. It is so good to gather as a Creation Care family to kick off another year of joy-filled action. Each year at EEN Summit, we select a theme. And this year, the theme of refinement was impressed upon our heart. This theme of refinement anchored in the passage of 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 3 through 7, where it says, "Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. In his great mercy, he has given us new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, and into an inheritance that can never perish, spoil, or fade. So truly be glad. There is wonderful joy ahead, even though you must endure many trials for a little while. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire refines and purifies gold. Through your faith, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. So when your faith remains strong through many trials, it will bring you much praise and glory and honor on the day when Jesus Christ is revealed to the whole world." The word of the Lord. Folks, I think it's safe to say that we are in a time of trial and testing as a Creation Care movement. We are coming out of a past season of unprecedented progress where we were driving forward and putting in place long advocated policies and solutions that made it easier than ever for our families, our churches, farmers, our communities, businesses to take part in climate and Creation Care solutions. So many of you joined us in taking action and were critical to creating these successes, to which we are so grateful. We, however, are now in a season where we are seeing these solutions get rolled back, to get scaled back. It can feel demoralizing at times, like the wind has been taken out of our sails. We are enduring, as Peter speaks about in this passage, trials and testing. What can we do? Well, first, we cannot forget that in God's great mercy, he has given us new birth into a living hope, resurrection from the dead through Jesus Christ. We cannot forget that there is opportunity in this, the opportunity presented by the process of refinement. In the face of these setbacks, it gives us the opportunity to take a look, to refine and strengthen what we do as a Creation Care movement. As 1 Peter 1:7 says, these trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire refines and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. As you may know, I am a climate scientist by training. It's a field I got into because of my faith and as an answer to a call to ministry from the Lord. But I got my start in geology. Recently, a fellow Christian who was also a geologist at the USGS, she was telling me about this process of refining gold. For her work in studying volcanoes, she had to create these super refined gold discs for her lab analyses. She described how raw gold is naturally mixed and includes other metals like copper and lead. But to make it suitable for analysis, she needed 100% gold. She had to refine the gold with this intricate and difficult process of continually melting it down with incredibly hot temperatures. And if it wasn't fully refined, the analysis would fail. Let's just say this process of refining gold, it's tough, it's hard, but it's done for the promise that it holds. It increases the value of the gold. It makes it more suitable for its purpose. It strengthens it. And that's the promise I believe we have at hand for us. That this season of refinement will strengthen us as a creation care movement, to strengthen us to truly achieve our vision that we have here at EEN, a vision for a world with abundant life, where all people are free from the burden of pollution and children have the hope and expectation for a healthy, vibrant future. As we at EEN take this moment to truly engage this year in this process of strengthening through refinement, it's already revealing some important truths. First, to achieve this vision of a healthy, pollution-free world for all, it takes all of us working together. To solve such a large societal problem, it takes a whole of society solution to achieve this vision. It requires, in this season, breaking down what seem to be impossible partisan barriers and divides, to maintain momentum and progress for this vision, and to prevent the threat of rollbacks. We truly do need to come together around bipartisan solutions, something that we're committed to here at EEN. It also requires each of us doing our own part to steward the piece of creation that God has uniquely entrusted to each one of us, whether that's in our households, our churches, our businesses, college campuses, and our communities and beyond, to make those small but joyful refinements in our own daily lives and businesses that lead to so many benefits of cost savings, clean air, clean water, a safer climate, and a healthy future, as well as to lift our voices together to encourage our leaders and policymakers to do the same. And so that's why today I am so excited to have our keynote conversation with Colby May. Colby May is one of the nation's leading experts in coming alongside churches and houses of worship to make refinements in the way they steward their buildings and energy for good financial stewardship, as well as to bring abundant life through good environmental and energy stewardship. So I'd like to welcome and introduce Colby to you today. A bit more of Colby's background. Colby is the founder of Energy for Mission and Energy for Purpose. He is a certified energy manager with more than 23 years of experience. He has conducted energy audits, get this, at over 5,000 facilities nationwide, including churches, seminaries, and schools. Colby has also presented at numerous mission, faith, and energy management workshops across the world. Colby holds a master's degree from Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary, as well as a bachelor's degree from Texas Tech University in International Business and Spanish. So everyone, please join me in welcoming Colby. Colby, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It is a real pleasure. I love Colby. You are the founder of two incredible ministries and organizations, Energy for Purpose and Energy for Mission. But for many of us, we might not see how all of that goes together. Can you tell us more about your journey discovering
Yeah,
that connection between Christian mission and energy management?
yep, absolutely. Like you said, like Jessica said, I'm a certified energy manager. Maybe put in the chat if you've heard of a certified energy manager. A lot of people have not. Basically, I'm certified to manage energy. And I went to Texas Tech, and I kind of joked that Texas Tech is Harvard of the South, but in reality, I don't even know if we're Harvard of Lubbock. But no, I went to Texas Tech, and pretty much right out of college, 2001, I started in the energy management field, and I'm kind of tie the two together and kind of shared the journey. And I began doing energy audits in partnership with the State Energy Conservation Office. And if you know Texas, it's a big state. You have seven different ecosystems that kind of come into the state. You have 1,100 school districts, and a lot of those school districts, like Houston ISD, for example, has 320 schools. So when I say I've done about 5,000 energy audits, we started really focusing on kind of the government sector, at least in Texas, and got to see different parts of Texas, at least, and just really fell in love with energy management. Parallel, I was a youth pastor, and this kind of sounds funny, but I watched the movie Taken with Liam Neeson, right? God can work anywhere, and he knows I like action adventure movies, so he worked in the movie Taken and Liam Neeson. But what planted the seed in me was this child trafficking. Why would we have such a corrupt and perverted hunger? So I wanted to know more, and we felt the call. My wife Amanda and I, we had two boys, and we have two boys, but they were 4 and 6 at the time, and we had the desire to go to seminary. We wanted to understand, just from a scriptural point of view, just more on God's justice. And I had the opportunity to work with or partner with an organization called World Relief at the time, and we went to Congo. And to me, that's where it came together. I went into seminary wanting to understand God's justice. I left passionate about missions because if you want to change the hands, you have to change the heart. And in Congo, I won't get into all of it. Maybe I can share a little bit later. But in Congo, you have a Kivu conflict, and we were there in 2013 during the Kivu conflict. And some stats say like 9 out of 10 women have been assaulted as a weapon of war. After they're assaulted, they're discarded from their families, from their villages. So you have this just ugly, perverted mess. But what I fell in love with was when God's church came together, not as independent churches, but as one body, using his creation, the environment, for his mission. And I kind of saw where all three came together, and I said, this is what I want to do. It's kind of super niche. So after seminary, I started a company called Energy for Purpose, where I'm using the energy management hat, and my passion for missions. I'm an ordained pastor. Long story out. But anyways, I've married the two, and we started the for-profit, or we're an LLC where we're doing in-depth energy audits across the world, obviously mostly in the US, but from Colombia to the tippity top of Alaska and everywhere in between. And that's where I started that, and I'll kind of share facts about why later, but I just saw a partnership between the two, and I just decided, you know what? I think there's just a lot of potential. So just this heart for energy, the heart for mission, and I realized it was holistic. I mean, you see all throughout Scripture where God used, for example, the Red Sea, where He's using His creation for His mission. It's not separate, but it's holistic. And again, the energy for purpose is very niche, but I love it. I love what we do. It might put the average person to sleep when I start talking about utility bills and demand and sequence of operations, but I see it connected. A dollar saved here is a dollar we can move regarding missions. And then I'll just, in a sentence, Energy for Mission is our nonprofit in Congo. We have an office of 3 people in Congo. So in the US, we do the audits, but we pour out energy resources, funding, et cetera, to fund the work of reconciliation, trauma healing through the local church to the endangered, of vulnerable women in Congo. So those are the two. That's a little bit about my journey. Taken, right? Now everybody has to go watch Taken.
That's excellent, Colby. I don't think I had known that connection with the
Yeah.
Taken movie, but again, just as you said, God speaks to us in all parts of our lives and in
Mhm.
all moments of our lives, and it's a great reminder. Are we listening? That's so
Yes.
good. And again, I just love how through what God has revealed to you and making these connections of what's something that can seem mundane about energy demand and all those stats, actually, when putting that all in context of seeing the promise for abundant life that
Mhm.
it brings. So Colby, thank you for leading us in making that connection. Now, as part of this, you've shared with me in the past what I find to be an astounding stat. Can you tell us how much money could be saved if every church in America made some of those small refinements to their energy management on net? How much money would be opened up?
So, yeah, absolutely. So, according to EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, and State of the Plate, I'm going to throw a number of facts out. So, in the U.S., there are probably in between 350,000 and 400,000 houses of worship. Christian, Catholic, and everywhere in between, right? And according to State of the Plate in 2013, I need to update my facts here. We tithe $50 billion. What do you think percentage-wise, and throw it in the chat, do you think like percentage-wise we spend of the 50 billion we spend on utilities? And I'll just kind of give it a second for y'all to think. But I see some coming in, but 20%. Our second largest budget item behind salaries is utility spend. So we spend about $10 billion a year as a faith-based community in the US on energy. But according to EPA, 30% of the energy that we use is wasted. I like that number because we, in a perfect world, and I know that's hard to do because we wear 10 different hats, we're probably more in reactive mode than proactive mode, but we have within our ability to save 30% at no cost, which equates to $3 billion. If every church in the US saved 10%, and you can do that simply by adjusting your thermostats, putting things on occupied and unoccupied sensor set points. But if every church saved 10%, we could redirect $1 billion from energy spend to ministry spend and mission spend. There's a tie between energy and mission, and obviously by being good stewards, as we see clearly in Genesis, that God calls us to be good stewards of His creation. By doing that, there is a dollar impact. So imagine, though, right? If we could create a movement, and I always kind of joke about that, but churches pushing into energy efficiency and purposely recapturing that to making disciples of all nations, of every nation, to the call of mission. So passionate about both.
Fabulous. So good, Colby. Can you give us a picture of what the process is involved with helping a church become better financial stewards through energy stewardship? And could you share a few examples and stories of how the churches you've worked with? So this is a two-parter. What the process looks like, and then sharing a couple stories of how the churches you've worked with have put those energy savings to work to better resource their ministries and service to the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's again, this process will put the average person to sleep, but it's the first thing, when we're going and we're working with, obviously we do energy audits is what we focus on. We've done about 2,500 churches, and then before that, the school districts, et cetera. But when you go in, the first thing you want to do is you want to set the foundation. You want to look at the utility bills, and it's like a gas gauge in a car. When you know what you have in the tank, you make better informed decisions. So just the utility piece alone, there's 30 different things you can look at, from demand to consumption. We want to see how you use energy. That tells us a story. And then we use that and push into things, right? Like, I won't list all of these, but for example, HVAC is 50% of our energy use. How we use that is vital. Controls, if you take one thing away in regards to energy, please, it's this: control your HVAC use. That's the big, if it's 50% of our use, right? There's things that we can do to make an immediate impact, like adjusting a set point by 1 degree can save up to 1.5%. Having each unique zone have its own unique occupied unoccupied schedule. So, obviously we're looking at HVAC. We want to look at everything that impacts energy. Utilities, HVAC, lighting is 20% of your use. Plug load, things you plug into the wall, is 20%. And side note, up to 75% of plug load is phantom load. So even when it's off, it's still drawing power. And then other things like envelope and water use and behavior and the domestic hot water tanks, all that stuff is where that the process is you're trying to analyze all that and create an energy management report broken into no cost, low cost, and capital expense. So part of the process is helping the church create a plan. And it's hard to create a business without a business plan, without building a house without a blueprint. And the same thing, it's hard to effectively and holistically save energy without some kind of plan. And tons of examples. One, there's a first a really large Baptist church in the Nashville area that spends $800,000 a year on energy, and just in our controls analysis. And again, controls is how you control your HVAC, and sometimes you have to have a PhD in order to understand how to run those things. But just in analyzing their control system, understanding their sequence of operations, how things come on, how things ramp up, how how large is the zone, what's the runtime hours for that zone. We identified 25% of no-cost changes that equated to $200,000 of energy savings. Again, it's no cost. Yeah, part of an audit is buying a new chiller or a boiler, but you do not have to spend money to save money. The largest opportunity is operational opportunities. And again, that's easier said than done, but that's $200,000 that they repurposed from energy spend, being good stewards, pushing in to mission spend and ministry spend. And so there, that gets me excited. There's another evangelical school in the Raleigh-Durham area that has a similar story. It was a school, and when I looked at their summer usage, where it should be low, it was peaked. They didn't have summer school. So obviously we gave some opinions on implementing a healthy, unoccupied summer schedule, right? If you turn things off, you could get humid, really bad for an organ or a church building. But just that alone saved that school $90,000 just by changing the way they operate. So those are some examples in the process moving forward when it comes to energy efficiency and some of the things that we do.
That's great, Colby. And those are principles that we can also use not only in our churches, but our own homes, of just opening our eyes and paying attention to our energy use. And with new apps can track that, which is great. Also, Colby, you've already shared a little bit about this, but I'd love to hear more. You have a vision not only for how energy can support our church ministries and mission here in the US, but also around the world and our mission around the world. Can you tell us more about your work and mission abroad?
Yeah. So, yeah, we started Energy for Purpose, and then we start Energy for Purpose, Energy for Mission, and we use a percentage of our revenue to fund a lot of that work. And I think the overarching goal is really to create an energy steward, or use energy to like creating an energy bivocational energy consultant that is mission based, but also using energy kind of as a way into maybe, for example, a closed nation. That's ultimately what we want to do. So we're working currently in 5 nations, but 95% of our work is in Congo. And I'm really, really excited and really passionate about the work we're doing. Um, there's a guy named Marcel Serabungo, and I had the opportunity again in 2013 to really follow him. And again, as I stated, for me, that's where I fell in love with the local church. That's where I fell in love with missions. And that's where I got to see God's hands and feet use his creation for his mission. And so, like I said, we have 3 people, and we're focusing on a number of things, but it's really the reconciliation. Again, we're going through the local church. Reconciliation, it's a country that has been in conflict for centuries. And even today, you have the M23. Um, so we're actually in an occupied zone right now, and I'm being careful with my verbiage here because I don't want to put our team at risk. But right now, it's focused on peacekeeping, reconciliation, so a lot of workshops. But we just started a beta for the women that have been assaulted. It's such a horrible story of women after they're assaulted. They're kicked out of their families. They're kicked out of the villages. Husbands blame the wife. It's just the culture there is just misdirected in many ways. So we started a beta of trauma healing where um, we had a female pastor identify 3 women that have been assaulted. And the story I could share about the shame, and it really breaks my heart, and I'll try not to cry when I'm sharing it, but bringing them to a Congolese hospital by a female doctor to reconstruct. And I remember the story. They're there for 3 weeks. but our guy shared a story with us just last week of these women after they've been kind of restored, driving back to their village with tears of hope, and they were singing their songs of hope. So it's that kind of story that really gets me excited, where I get to see God's hand and feet at work, and we're using His environment for His mission, and it's energy savings that help fund that work. In other areas like Myanmar, which also in civil war, it's using solar as a way to implement and equip the local church. Same thing in India and Bhutan that we're doing, but that's just a little bit of the work we're doing, and I really appreciate Jessica allowing me to share that. Again, energyformission.org is our nonprofit, and we don't get a dime. Everything goes to our Congo team. And Jessica got to meet Marcel not too long ago, so that was a wonderful opportunity.
Yes, it was so inspiring. It was so, again, Colby, how through your ministry, weaving together, again, what may seem like small, mundane refinements in something like our energy systems that opens up, frees up resources to do this incredible work at home and around the world to bring abundant life through reconciliation, through health, through healing. Um, it's just amazing. I've got folks in the chat. I'm going to answer a few questions from the audience. But first, I mean, folks want to know, how can they get connected with Energy for Purpose, with your work? Um,
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if you're interested, I mean, you can hop online and get a free ebook. It's not a New York Times bestseller, but it's a book we give away for free. And it just, I think there's 14 chapters. It just each chapter is like lighting and HVAC and facility manager, the unsung hero. We want to impact missions through church facility management, and things like that. It's just a way to equip churches with basics. So that's one way. Just hop on and get a free ebook. Or if you're interested in an energy audit, let me know. Um, Always love doing that. And energy again on the nonprofit. Just want to be part of the newsletter on either the nonprofit or the for-profit. You can hop online, energyforpurpose.com or energyformission.org, and sign up.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Colby. And I know we've got more questions in the chat, and I'll just invite you, Colby, as we have the rest of the programming going on. If you want to answer those in the chat or through the Q&A function, I'll invite you to do that. One of our questions was about again, with new technologies and heat pumps, with solar. And how all of this plays together. And I'll let you get more into this in the chat, Colby, but we did want to kind of put things in context, as had shared earlier. Again, we are in this season of rollbacks to benefits. And at EEN, we are always focused on solutions, those solutions that make it more affordable for folks in their households, in their churches, to make those energy efficiency upgrades through heat pumps, the HVAC, weatherization, also benefits to go solar. And we are in a season, and Colby, you were so much a part of this voice of saying how important it was to keep these benefits, tax credits and rebates that reduce the cost burden for homeowners as well as houses of worship, to put in place these upgrades. And we are in this season where we have seen things get rolled back. And so we wanted to create an opportunity for our network to speak out, just as you've been helping us raise the word, Colby, on this, that we need to bring back these money-saving clean energy benefits. And so we always want to make it as easy as possible for folks in our network to have the opportunity to take action, lift your voice. And so as we are talking about clean energy, the power of energy efficiency and good energy management, good clean energy, we want to put this opportunity before our network for each of you to click on this link. We have a letter campaign to our policymakers in Congress, asking them to put in place these benefits that have been rolled back to come back together on a bipartisan fashion to reinstate benefits that'll make it easier for houses of worship to implement what Colby finds through the energy audits so that we can do this also in our own homes and houses. And so we'll just, Colby, I'll let you have, would love to invite you to have 1 minute of closing remarks if you'd like, anything just to share with the team. But as Colby does that, I encourage everyone, please click on the link in the chat to this letter writing action alert campaign. I invite you to, we make it as easy as possible, put in your information, and you will find a letter right there ready to send to your policymakers in your district and in your state, asking, as Christians, put these benefits back in place. So I just want to invite our audience to take a moment to do that. And as they do that, Colby, any last encouragements or words you'd like to share with us today?
Yeah, just kind of closing remarks and in regards to energy efficiency, sometimes it can feel overwhelming, but it really is not. There's things immediately we can do within our homes, within our houses of worship that can make a huge impact. One is controlling HVAC use. I know I've said that before, but again, HVAC in Florida is probably 60 to 70% of our energy use. It's different based on where you are, but the average is about 50%. So a degree change saves, for example, impacts 1.5% on the percent on the HVAC portion of your bill. Imagine implementing an unoccupied set point and impacting HVAC use by 10 to 15%. I'm a big proponent of that. Turning things off is always the most efficient, but I wasn't prepared. But there are things that we can do within our homes. MythBusters did it, for example. MythBusters did a study. It's called the 23 second. When you turn your light off and you back on, there's a surge of energy, but it pays for itself in 23 seconds. So if you're out of your zone longer than 23 seconds, it makes sense to turn your lights off. But again, I'm really grateful for this opportunity. I'm an evangelical pastor, so I love like-minded organizations like EEN. Very passionate about that. And as you can see, the intersection of energy and mission. And I just encourage you guys to continue doing what you can within your house of worship on the energy front so that you can do more on the ministry and mission front.
Fabulous. Colby, such a great word. And thank you so much for that. And please, everyone, join me in the chat in thanking Colby for all of this. And this won't be the end. We will continue to be working together with Colby, bringing more information, some deep dives on all of this. But Colby, thank you so much for joining us today. Well, we're going to stick with this theme of, as Colby's really cast vision of what we can do to care well for God's creation and defend our health through action through our churches. I'd love to invite EEN's Church and Community Engagement Director, Reverend Jeremy Summers, to share more about Creation Care Sunday and how our churches can lift up creation care in our congregations this year. Jeremy, over to you.
Thanks, Jessica. Thanks, Colby. Wow, I'm definitely inspired. So, Colby, I'll be hitting you up for sure after this call. So, thank you so much for your passion, but also for the greater kingdom, both locally and globally. So, really appreciated that. Yeah, it's great to see some familiar names on this call as well. So, welcome. It's great to be with you. And yeah, I just want to take a couple minutes to highlight an initiative that's coming up called Creation Care Sunday. And so one of the questions is, what is it? What is Creation Care Sunday? Well, Creation Care Sunday will be taking place Sunday, April 19th, the Sunday prior to Earth Day. And Creation Care Sunday is essentially ways that local congregations can honor God through biblical stewardship. We want to celebrate God's creation with your congregation. And so how cool would it be that on Creation Care Sunday, congregations around the United States would come together to connect creation care with their practices. Many times in our congregations, we're already doing this when either in a sermon series or small group lessons or in children's church. And so we want to make it a priority to actually kind of highlight that in various ways. And so Creation Care Sunday connects worship with practical action and equipping our congregations to love God, neighbor, while also caring for his world. And so the question is, how do you get involved? And so we've provided five easy ways to engage your congregation in Creation Care Sunday. So the first one is possibly adding a Creation Care element or theme to your worship service. Maybe it's a prayer, a worship song, liturgy, sermon. We have a lot of resources that are available to integrate some of these aspects into your typical Sunday worship rhythm. Second, it might be launching a Creation Care book club. Some of you have joined our book clubs over the years. We have one usually in the fall and then one in the winter, which our next one's coming up in a few weeks. But maybe you want to take one of our book clubs from the past. We have a lot of discussion materials, videos, and so forth that you can integrate maybe into a Sunday school, a small group. The cool thing is they're about 5 to 6 weeks long, so they're perfect for a lot of Sunday school and small group kind of schedules. The third one is maybe you want to host a Creation Care film screening event. So over the last couple of years, we've have kind of toolkits that hit some educational themes that also have discussion guides and so forth. So maybe you want to grab a group of people, sit around either in your house or maybe at church and watch one of these educational videos while also coming alongside and have a conversation about how to integrate various creation care themes in your community. The fourth idea would be mobilizing church members for a neighborhood prayer walk and litter cleanup. So one thing I love about this one is that it kind of integrates kind of our spiritual practices. You have prayer, you have community, you have serving, and it's uh, pretty simple. Just gather people, walk around your neighborhood. What do you see? What do you observe? What are some things that maybe God is calling us to pray for? And then alongside that, kind of clean up, be a good steward of your environment. This is a great one to bring families, children, youth, and so forth around one of these initiatives. And then the last one is possibly host a creation care craft or activity in your children's church. So I don't know if you all remember, for some of us, we have to go a little further back in remembering what it was like to be a child again. But man, children's church was a blast, wasn't it? Hearing lessons, but there's always a craft, right? And you would share that craft or idea with your parent, but it usually told a story of scripture. How can we maybe integrate a creation care element, a craft, an idea with children that opens up their eyes to kind of that creativity, seeing Creator God at work in the environment around us, but also it kind of opens up even the passages of Scripture as well. And the sixth one, which you don't see here, is maybe you have another idea that God is calling you to. How do you imagine what you're already doing, and how do you enter in that space to create an opportunity for others in your congregation to experience Creation Care Sunday? Um, and so the last piece is if you want to get involved, then the question is, what are my next steps? How do I move forward in being a part of Creation Care Sunday? Well, part of your next steps is to scan the QR code, which you hopefully see on that slide. You can literally take out your phone right now if you'd like. And those that will be watching this later, take out your phone, scan that code, click on the link, and it'll take you to an information form. And this information form will allow us to see what are your needs, what would you like to do, and how can we help you with those next steps. So fill out that information form. You'll receive an email with resources that fit your need. You can definitely check more than one box if you'd like, or even share some other ways that you would like to have your church get involved. And then the last part is you'll see my information at the bottom of that information form. But I'd love to hear from you. One, if you have questions, but two, I know that many of us have like specific questions to our congregation, specific needs, ideas, maybe even some hurdles that we have to, kind of jump through to make something like this happen. I'd love to sit with you and maybe contextualize how we can make this work. But the idea is, how do we enter into this time of year and to celebrate God's creation? How do we love God? How do we love one another? And how do we love the creation that God has given to us? So hopefully we all can participate in this time on Creation Care Sunday on Sunday, April 19th. Tori, I think you are next.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. I am so looking forward to Creation Care Sunday this year. At EEN, we are dedicated to defending God's majestic creation out of obedience and concern for all who call it home. A meaningful way to do that is by stewarding our absolutely incredible national parks and public lands. In 2020, the Great American Outdoors Act became law after years of EEN joining others in urging our elected officials to address the critical maintenance needs of our parks that had piled up over years of disregard. Due to extended times of inadequate investment, many national park roads, amenities, and structures fell into disrepair. From bathrooms to overall water systems, from roads to campgrounds, many national parks had full logs of deferred maintenance. The Great American Outdoors Act established the National Parks and Public Lands Legacy Restoration Fund, providing $6.5 billion over 5 years to address extensive and overdue maintenance and repair needs. This includes repairing and improving roads, buildings, trails, campgrounds, and water systems. This historic effort enabled the National Park Service to finally address long-standing issues related to visitor safety and well-being through over 400 critical projects. This past summer, I had the unique and incredible opportunity to take a sabbatical with EEN to visit over 25 national parks and other public land sites to witness the impacts of the Great American Outdoors Act, as well as the work left to be done. One place that stood out was Zion National Park, not only a highly visited and incredibly stunning park, but an important success story for the Great American Outdoors Act. As the most visited park in the West, it boasts only 2 campgrounds in the core part of the park, with the third being over 1 hour away, and it only has 6 campsites. When I was there in May, the South Campground in the core part of the park was closed for repairs as part of the Great American Outdoors Act, with about 128 sites undergoing renovation for accessibility and ease of use, along with their roads and other critical amenities. When I planned my visit, Zion National Park only had 1 campsite for 1 night available. While this renovation was overdue and is much needed, it also highlights the importance of quickly addressing maintenance needs as they arise and not letting them grow worse over time, thus creating even lengthier and more expensive repair processes. About 600 miles away in Yosemite National Park, I got to enjoy a recently completed project at Crane Flat Campground. Securing camping in the Yosemite Valley is notoriously challenging, and options are limited outside the valley. One close option is the Crane Flat Campground, but prior to the Great American Outdoors Act renovation, it had a reputation as one of the worst places to stay due to falling into disrepair. However, it reopened just before I arrived, enabling me to secure a spot, and the campground had turned into a peaceful and safe place to enjoy the national park. While these stories highlight the meaningful, tangible successes of addressing deferred maintenance, there is much work yet to be done. These highly visited and beloved places need continued support. In Yellowstone National Park, I witnessed the importance of stewarding infrastructure for the sake of both visitor and ecosystem safety. In the park, boardwalks serve a multitude of purposes by protecting people from dangerous geothermal features and by protecting these fragile wonders from human interaction. Additionally, they are vital accessibility features that enable those with wheelchairs or baby carriages to take in the splendor of God's creation. However, due to the nature of geothermal features, coupled with excessive wear and tear, these boardwalks are often in need of repair. In fact, I witnessed multiple boardwalks that were either closed or risky to navigate due to damage. For me, this highlights the importance of continued investment in the stewardship of national parks. Thankfully, this important source of funding is up for reauthorization, and we need your help to defend our national parks. As America's national parks see record-breaking numbers of visitors from across the globe, the Legacy Restoration Fund, reauthorized, would provide $16 billion to address critical repair needs and deferred maintenance. The extension of the Legacy Restoration Fund is projected to support an additional 20,000 jobs annually and contribute 10 billion to local economies over the next 5 years, on top of the robust economic boost of visitor tourism. I'm inviting you to join us in speaking out about the much needed benefits of this Legacy Restoration Fund by sending a message to your policymakers using the QR code on the screen or the chat, the link that's provided in the chat. And again, we'll be sharing these links after the call as well. And now I would love to turn it over to my colleague, Lauren Kim, to share about what Young Evangelicals for Climate Action is up to.
Thank you so much, Tori. Hi, y'all. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lauren Kim, and I am the national organizer for Young Evangelicals for Climate Action. And I'm so excited to share with you all about the young adult work this past year and how we're refining our advocacy techniques from good to great. So this past year, we've been guided by Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. So I want to share a little bit of our highlights. So during our Summer of Action, we advocated for IRA, clean energy tax credits, the endangerment finding, and pollution safeguards on mercury, heavy metals, as well as climate warming carbon pollution from fossil fuel power plants across the country. So a lot of things. YACA led touch points and offered additional trainings through EEN, as well as recruiting others to send our action alerts to our state and federal leaders. Through our efforts, we celebrated the Great American Outdoors Act anniversary through our National Parks Preservation advocacy and testified several times before the EPA. We've also spread the word about creation care at both scientific and evangelical conferences in DC, Colorado, and Michigan. So going on to the next slide, this year we've trained 6 new college fellows and commissioned 2 community fellows who've worked with various Midwest churches, as you can see up on the screen. And we even released a podcast, which is breaking new grounds for YACA and a great way to touch youth. Our fellows led so many different efforts, including a children's creation care program at a Chicago Christian academy, led climate liturgy walks, trash pickups, invited guest speakers to campus. Some of them saved 5,000 pounds of food through regular food recovery runs. Some of them started community gardens. Others organized a sustainability panel, viewing parties, and one person even held a book group for chapel credits at their school. So there's so much more that I could say about all of our fellows and all the great works that they're doing. But to recap everything in numbers, our last year fellows hosted 26 events and touched over 570 students by raising $12,000. So really, really proud of our young people. YACA also sponsored our long-term partner this year, the Christian Climate Observers Program, CCOP, to send YACAers to COP30 in Brazil. So these activists were able to leverage their position to represent the gospel, share shadow world leaders in Brazil, and attend briefings, workshops, and exhibits. So a lot of really great work, both done here in the United States and also abroad. Among our various media hits, I'm really proud to highlight a couple. One of our fellows, Becca, was featured in the New York Times, and Rena wrote an op-ed in the Gospel Coalition. Also, a staff member, Jamie, had her testimony featured in The Guardian. So looking forward on the next slide, YACA is going to refine our strategic plan as Plan 2022 to 2027 is set to expire at the end of the year. So refining our strategy that way. A big part of our restructuring involves commissioning our newly elected officers, as well as recruiting a strong College Fellows cohort this spring. I just want to highlight that our link for applications are live for our College Fellows cohort. So if you know anyone who is between the ages of 18 and 22 in some college program and interested in creation care, please pass along this link. And as we gear up for our new local action efforts, please check out our website. Also on our website is our annual report. Our annual report is a yearly compiled report on YAC activities throughout the year. So please check it out for our highlights, timeline, and also our breakdowns throughout the year. Really excited for y'all, for everything that YACA has been doing in 2025 and excited about 2026. And I'll hand it back to you, Tori.
Thank you so much, Lauren. It is always so inspiring for me to see what the young people at YUCA are up to. Thank you so much for your leadership, Lauren. As we close today, I'm excited to share a few closing announcements to invite you into our work in the coming months. First, we are so excited for another season of EEN's Beth Vaughn Memorial Book Club. This February and March, we'll be reading A Million Little Miracles by Mark Batterson. The author himself will be joining our week 1 meeting on February 25th. Our virtual meetings will take place on Wednesdays from 12 p.m. Eastern between February 25th and March 25th. You may register using the QR code here or the link shared in the chat. On April 19th, we are inviting you to celebrate Creation Care Sunday at your church. EEN will provide meaningful ways to engage along with customized support you may need for your context. You can sign up using this QR code or using the link in the chat. We hope you'll join us for this meaningful day. The Lenten season will soon begin, and we are excited to share Toward New Creation, a weekly devotional for your Lenten journey. This free resource will be delivered directly to your inbox by signing up with this code or following the link in the chat. I know we just shared a lot, so if you miss any of the links, please keep an eye on your email where we will be sharing this recording along with all of the actions and next steps shared here today. Thank you so much for joining us for Summit 26 Refinement. We are so thankful for your time and for your energy. We're looking forward to another year of partnership with you in 2026. As we close today, we want to leave you with our opening scripture reading from 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 3 and 6 through 7. He has given us new birth into a living hope. So be truly glad. There is wonderful joy ahead, even though you must endure many trials for a little while. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire refines and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Thank you all again for your time and blessing on your weeks ahead. Thank you so much for joining us today.